Hey team, it's Daniel again with Brazos Valley Boars and Varmits. So today I am doing a comparison between two of the scopes that I really love getting to use. These are both wonderful, amazing scopes. They are the N-Vision Halo XRF, great scope, and the infrared iRay USA RS75 1280. These guys get compared to naturally on their own out in the wild, and so today I'm gonna do my head-to-head comparison for how I think about these scopes. Let's do it. So a few weeks ago I did some side-by-side comparison videos of the imaging out of both of these scopes, and well, everybody on the internet loved it. Actually, I got so many people that just hated these videos, and there's technical reasons why it's really hard on a computer to actually compare two different thermal scopes, and that's going to be something for a whole nother video. That's not something I'm going to cover here today. But guys, I tried everything from doing what is the base magnification look like, then well, what if you try to make both of them the same size, what does that look like, or what do they do at different scenarios. I did several of these videos and I thought that they were very helpful, but now is where I'm going to go fully in depth on these two against each other. So let's get the common things knocked out right off the bat. They both have a 12 micron sensor. These both have multiple zeros for different rifle setups. These both have internal video and audio recording, and they both come with a QD mount already attached on the bottom. Now, some things that are going to be similar, but you know, like they are different and worth noticing, are going to be that the N-Vision takes 18650 batteries, whereas the Rico takes the BP1 battery, which lasts about 4 hours, and they give you two of these. That's why on the marketing it says 8 hours. That's because each one's worth about 4. But on the N-Vision, well, it just kind of depends on what good quality batteries you throw in there. Did you get the LLL cheapo ones, or you got the kind of like really nice ones? That's gonna depend on your battery life here. So you know, they do have exchangeable batteries, right? They both weigh about the same. The N-Vision is a little bit lighter at 41.5 ounces, but the RS75 is still the heaviest at 44.9 ounces. The millikelvin rating, I can't really tell you on the XRF because I haven't seen any data from N-Vision on exactly what that is, but on the RS75 it is a sub 25 millikelvin rating. As far as LRFs, obviously the XRF has one integrated. It's already right there built into it. And the Rico has this Picatinny rail on the side where you can attach one and then plug it into this port here if you want to, but if you don't want to, then you can just leave it off like I have right here. So you have the option of how you want to do this, but if you do plug it in and set it up, then you have to calibrate it to where it's pointing at, so that way you're getting an accurate reading. But the XRF already has that built in. The warranty is almost identical. N-Vision has a 5-year warranty. They were the first ones to come out with that, but then following up, iRay has the 5-year, 5-day warranty. So if they are given 5 business days to either fix and send back or to replace your unit with a similar or better device. So that one is, this is a guaranteed return back within 5 business days of them receiving it versus just a standard 5-year, and again, this is 5 years. So almost identical warranties. Now on the N-Vision, you do not get picture-in-picture. However, being that this has a base magnification of 3.5, I have never ran into a situation where I said, man, I really want to double that and have that as a little window in the top over here. However, with the Rico being 2.0 base magnification, I have wanted to double that and then have that picture-in-picture. So that has been nice. So again, something that N-Vision does not have, but the Rico does. Now, the N-Vision doesn't have color palettes either. You either get white hot or black hot, and then your crosshairs, you get to pick what they do, but you've got this really nice feature where they immediately change the color of them based on what you're looking at. That's real nice. However, with the Rico, you can do different color palettes, a different color reticle. So that's nice built in as well. Again, something that it is there. It is something. It is a feature that if you really care about, okay. But I got a feeling we're fixing to run into other things that matter a whole lot more. Let's start off with the base magnification, 3.5. Now, again, the Rico is 2.0. Now, we all know that the XRF is a 640 resolution thermal scope, and the Rico RS75 is a 1280. So we all know the math here. At 2.0, this is 1280, but then if you magnify it up one time and you go to 4.0, well, then you're at 640 at 4.0 base mag, whereas the N-Vision is 3.5 at 640. So they're real similar once you magnify those up. At the same time, when you do a comparison video and you look at the N-Vision at 640 versus the RS75 at 640, what you don't get is the fact that you can do so much more with the RS75. But with the XRF, you are stuck at that 3.5 base magnification, where sometimes I feel like that's too much with what I'm doing if I want to use it in some of these tight lowland areas where I got a lot of underbrush that I'm having to walk through. This just isn't ideal for that, having that 3.5. This is going to be something that excels wonderfully at medium to long distance. However, this one being at 2.0 base magnification, this does great at, because it has that low power. So that's going to help you decide what makes more sense for you based on what style of hunting you typically run into. Now, here's another number that we've obviously got to talk about, is the hertz refresh rate. The XRF is a 60 hertz refresh rate, and the RS75 is a 30. Now, I've done a full complete review on each one of these scopes individually. So if you want to understand exactly why something is the way that it is, go back and watch those. But the short answer of what the RS75 is that the problem with 1280 cores is that they needed a way to cool down because they get too hot. However, a way to slow down that processing is that if you cut the processing rate in half, again, this is a 60 frames per second refresh rate. This one is only a 30. So if you cut that in half, well, then you don't have to process nearly as much data because there's not 60 frames coming in per second. However, whenever things are moving, the 60 is definitely a smoother movement imaging rather than the RS75. Now, again, if you want 1280, then you have to find a way to keep that cool, and the way that iRay did that was going by 30, versus N-Vision, they can just rock that 60 hardcore all day long. Next thing is going to be the focus. N-Vision has an infinity focus versus iRay uses a manual focus with this fin up right here. Now, the infinity focus, it's one of those like you love and hate this all at the exact same time, because I love how I never have to focus, and it's not like some of these old units or some of these budget units that don't have a focus because they're trying to save money somewhere. No, this is using an algorithm to where it feels like everything is in focus except for at the major extremes, right? If you get real close up to something, you can't focus that in. However, that's going to be at very close distance, whereas you can do that with the RS75. Now, again, if I'm at any kind of wide open but broken areas, you know, going through some like mixed ground, I'm gonna have to be focusing a lot with this RS75 to keep that image clean. However, with the N-Vision, you don't have to do that. The trade-off with the N-Vision is that not everything is perfectly focused, whereas with that RS75, oh wow, you can really see the image clarity because you can get super fine-tuned of exactly where that focal length is. And again, you can't do that with the N-Vision. So it's one of those, like, I love infinity focus, but there is a trade-off in that you can't get fine focused, but you don't have to mess with it all the time. So that's something to consider as well. Another major difference is going to be on the display. The N-Vision uses a 640 by 640 OLED display inside of here versus the RS75 uses a 2560 by 2560 micro OLED display. And again, when you're looking through here, this thing is huge. It's like the first time that you ever look at a big screen TV and you have to look up, right, left, down whenever you're trying to watch a football game or something, because that screen is so big the ball just goes everywhere. Versus with this one, you don't really have to move your eye a whole bunch. It's just kind of all right there. It's not something that is a difference maker in you trying to decide which one to go with, but that is something that you will notice if you ever do look through both of these. Doing the walk around on this, now both of these have a flip cover lens. If you notice, this one is metal and it makes that clinking sound every time that it closes. And this lens cover is something that can actually get pretty aggravating on the Rico RS75, because if you have it up, I don't know, it feels like I wish it would fold back more, and it just doesn't. And then for some reason, somehow, like when you're walking around with your gun pointed down, this is gonna fall, and then when you pick it back up again, it's closed in front of your lens. Versus on the N-Vision, that thing just stays right where it's supposed to. That spring has got the right amount of tension on it. That thing just stays there. Whereas this one, it just kind of does whatever it wants to and may make that clanking noise as you're walking around the woods. So what I've been doing is I've been keeping it folded down on the bottom, but then it's on that bottom rail making a clanking sound as well. Not as bad, but I mean, it's there. N-Vision definitely has a better lens cover on the front. Now, the button system. iRay does this thing where their menu button right here is raised, and then in front of this, and in between these two buttons, you've got an elevated ridge. And so that's a real smart way of trying to figure out where your fingers exactly lay on this inline button system. However, at the same time, I am always gonna love a compass button layout way more than I will a 4-button inline system. You just find that depressed center button, and then you know either forward, backward, right, or left. There's no having to like find the ridge. Oh, is this one raised or not? You know, there's no thinking about it. You just find the depressed center, and then you know where everything is, and it's so much easier to find your buttons with this layout. As far as the QDs on the bottom, both of them again come with one. They feel great. I've had no problems, no point of impact shifts. They've been wonderful for me. So these are both really good. So now let's just move back to the subjective, what I think about these scopes. So guys, I own both of these personally. I paid full price for both of these personally, and I am not selling either one of these anytime soon because they are both really, really good scopes. I love both of them. They're wonderful. So the question is going to be, which one is going to make more sense for you? Well, we all know the big thing I haven't talked about yet, and that's going to be price. You know, the XRF comes in just shy of $10,000. The Rico RS75 is $18,000. Now, I get it, that's not really budget friendly for most anybody, but I remember the days when I was driving a $6,000 vehicle running around with a $7,500 thermal, because that's how I got into this game, was I put some money into it. And I had an amazing optic, which I still own. And so both of these are kind of the same way. If you want the best optics that are out there, they cost money. So this is the reality of what it is. The question then is the RS75 worth almost twice as much as the XRF? And like y'all probably already know, most people say that's going to have to be for you to decide. For me, as a content creator, I love 1280. For somebody who goes back and reviews this footage, and I share it with my family, my friends, my children who are learning how to do all this stuff and get real interested in it, they love high quality imaging. There's nothing worse than trying to take video on a potato. At the same time, this is not a potato. This is amazing. This is great. But I love 1280, and I'm looking forward to whenever these get both more affordable and whenever the next resolution comes out and it looks even that much better. But again, is it worth double? I tell you one thing I hear a lot is people say that, well, you don't need all that. All that you need is just this right here. Well, there is such a thing as a race to the bottom. And when you say, well, you don't even need that, what you need is this other thing, and then you say, well, you don't even need that, what you need is this other cheaper thing, and then go cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and then next thing you know, we're trying to look at like some real cheap thermal devices. Mind you, the ones that are super budget friendly, I'm all for those. That's what I love those things. But then people start talking about like sub 384 resolution stuff, and it's like, guys, we are not talking about that. We are talking about two really expensive, high-end thermal scopes. Which one's better? Ugh. Okay, this is better. For everyone who says that this is not better, because I've gotten a lot of that on the internet, man, I'm gonna like lovingly say that I don't share that same opinion as you. My feeling is the RS75 is hands down better. Is it worth double? I know how my back understands how much money is worth and what a hard day's worth of labor for not a whole bunch of a heck of a lot of money. I know how precious that is and how you need to make ends meet and stretch things out. However, I got a feeling at the same time I'm not talking to that same part of me that buys one of these. You can't really go wrong with one or the other. The question is, first off, which one makes more sense for your budget? Right? Because whenever somebody calls me and asks me, well, Daniel, what thermal scope should I get? My question first right off the bat is always, how much money are we talking about? Right? And if you say I can swing this, well, then maybe that makes sense. However, at the same time, let's be honest, for $18,000, you could go get two really great thermal scopes and two really great thermal scanners, and you and your buddy could both have their own scope and their own scanner, all for $18,000, versus this you just get one. So like, those are some more follow-up questions. Like, yeah, you said you had that much budget, but like, how much stuff are you trying to get? Because your money goes a lot further, but god dang, you just can't beat the imaging of this dude. This is better, but this might just make more sense for your money. So guys, I know that got real wishy-washy, but at the same time, this really is one of those that the first question we need to figure out is, what's your budget? And then after that it's really going to make sense which direction you go as far as these two thermal scopes. If money's not a budget, dude, 1280. Bro, all the way. No questions, hands down, that's the one. However, at the same time, man, is there anything wrong with that XRF? Golly, no, there ain't nothing wrong with it. Base mag's kind of high, but, like, I've killed lots of pigs up close with that thing. It just depends on what's going to make more sense for you. I hope this was helpful. I hope this didn't muddy the waters. And I hope you took something away from this that helps you make up your mind on which one you should get. Because, guys, again, it is always hog season. Bye.